Digital asset treasuries, DATs, are the latest example with an astounding 85 and counting announced this year. They've raised billions from investors everywhere, from the U.S. to the Gulf to Asia. Galaxy among the top investors over the past 6 months. It's helped lead fundraising round for Forward Industries' $1.6 billion Solana treasury. It's the largest for that token. Forward shares surged on the news, up now more than 500% so far this year. Will be renamed Soulmate to become a Solana-based digital asset treasury following a $300 million fundraise. Its newly named CEO Marco Santori joins us now, along with Galaxy Digital's Mike Novogratz. Marcos formerly worked at Pantera and Kraken. Good to have you on the program. Another digital asset treasury company. I was shocked to see in Olga Kharif's article today, actually, about Mike Novogratz and other Princeton folks, that there have been 85 digital asset treasury companies just this year. Why another one?
Listen, first of all, thank you for having me. Second of all, you got to stop looking at treasury companies as trades. These things are not trades. There are going to be as many treasury companies as there are coin accumulation strategies over the next 20 years. This is not a fad, it's not a trend, it's not going away. This is a replacement for the traditional foundation model. So historically, what digital asset innovators have had to do is sequester all of their new coins, their newly created coins, in these not-for-profit corporations or nonprofits in the Caymans and Switzerland. And basically, these companies have watched their treasury go down and to the right over time. That is clearly an inefficient model. We think treasury companies are going to take the place of these foundations over time. They have access to the capital markets, they can be more dynamic, they can generate revenue, and they can still steward the ecosystems that they're supposed to steward. So you can't look at this thing like a trade, you have to look at it as an evolution. Well, I'm a big Solana believer. Everybody at Soulmate is a big Solana believer. Bitcoin is special. Bitcoin was and remains, and I think for a very long time will be special. It's a new monetary system, a new kind of money. Then Ethereum came on the scene, and Ethereum said, you know what, there's actually more we can do with these blockchains. We can do more than just move value around. We can create smart contracts. They can be composable. They can be decentralized. They can be hardened against attack and interference. But then it didn't scale. It didn't go anywhere. Ethereum still can only handle a small number of transactions per second at the base layer, and instead it ships off the large numbers of transactions, all the high throughput, highly performant transactions, to these second layer servers where it's really just somebody else's computer, and it sacrifices so many of the values that made decentralized technology valuable. Solana doesn't do that. Solana doesn't have to do that. It can scale to hundreds of thousands of transactions per second at the base layer, at that foundational layer that made all of those promises about financial services and what financial services could do with blockchains. So when I discovered Solana, I wasn't as early to the party as some, I'll tell you that, but it was a light bulb moment that went off. This is clearly the future. This is what sophisticated, high throughput transactions are going to run on in the future.
Mike, I want to bring you into the conversation because Tim mentioned there are about 85 companies that are involved in DATs. And you've said that you don't think all these DATs will be successful. But if you get critical mass, enhance yield on the underlying token, and build the ecosystem, I think they're net positives for crypto. These are public companies that will be around for a long time. Mike, what will determine success and longevity?
Yeah, listen, I think you're going to need scale, right? Because scale begets scale. And so, you know, you think of something like MicroStrategy, which came out first, now Strategy, it's got scale. And, you know, it will probably, you know, what do these companies do? They bring energy into the ecosystem in lots of ways. And what I was a little wrong on early on, and then it dawned on me, was the access to capital through the equity infrastructure is so much greater than it was through the crypto infrastructure, right? Crypto is a 12-year-old business, and equities have been around for a long, long time. That the wonderful thing about these data center treasury companies is they've brought in so much more capital at a quick pace, and that capital is what will build this industry. And so I think in each of these buckets, like, I love the fact that Marco's doing another Solana company, because it's also based in a different part of the world, it's going to attack a different set of new investors. Forward Industries is a very U.S. focused investor base and company, but it's a global technology. And so in some ways, the more the merrier. I think in order to survive, you're going to have to prove to the investors that you bring value, right? Mm-hmm. Like, listen, if we all trade to NAV, it's hard to raise a lot more capital. Mm-hmm. And so you've got to do something that allows you to think, hey, on our $1.6 billion of Solana, just through staking and other things, if we can get that yield from 7 to 10%, you're making $160 million a year in dividends, and you can use that $160 million a year to do other cool stuff with. You can use that leverage to maybe get a good deal on getting free equity in a program that's building on top of the blockchain. And so you're gonna have to be creative. We partnered in Forward with Jump Capital and Multicoin. Jump is probably the premier builder of architecture, of financial market architecture on blockchains, and certainly on the Solana blockchain. And so to me, that's just thrilling, right? There are 4 companies in the world, I think, that can kind of compete with Jump on high frequency trading. And so they see the Solana blockchain as what will be the foundation for capital markets in America. And when you have the new head of the SEC, Paul Atkins, saying, I want everything to move on chain, that's a big deal. I mean, it's a stunning deal.